Welcome to week number 4, everyone. It is Monday morning, and here we are in the smack dab middle of the term. So let's see what we've got going on. Hang on, let me get to the next slide. I'll do it. There we go. Last week we learned about classification of organisms, how we put organisms into group in order to predict what they're like, what their behaviors are, that sort of thing. We learned about types of cells, prokaryotic, which are bacterial cells, and eukaryotic cells that are like our cells, but they include plants, animals, fungi, and protists. And cell structures, everything from a cell wall in bacteria to a nucleus in a eukaryotic cell, to mitochondria, and there's so many more. And we also had really great discussions about antibiotic resistance in bacteria and how we as human beings help that process along by taking our antibiotics incorrectly or providing our food animals with antibiotics, which also increases antibiotic resistance. So this week is all about metabolism. So metabolism is breaking down food in order to make energy molecules like ATP, the most important energy molecule on the planet, adenosine triphosphate. And that energy in ATP is used to run all the biochemistry in cells because it is transferred over to enzymes, and the enzymes do the work. So we're going to be learning about metabolism this week, how we break down food to make energy, and also we'll learn in Chapter 8 about photosynthesis. And photosynthesis is the process where sunlight energy is converted into food energy in the form of glucose in those organisms that do photosynthesis. So the chapters for this week are chapters 6, 7, and 8. Be sure and skim through these. Even if you don't read them thoroughly, skim through them. They are important. You're going to read Module 4, the introduction, and figure out what you need to do this week. I will give you a hint this week. If it were me, I would skip over the overview because some of that is not exactly the way that I understand this biology. So anyway, and I'll give you some hints as we go along here. Do watch the video on the carbonation of the ocean because of the excess carbon dioxide that's in the atmosphere. And of course, I mean, you know what carbonated beverages are like, and they are very acidic. They can wear away your tooth enamel because they're so acidic. So if we're dumping carbon dioxide into the ocean, imagine what that must be doing to the water. And of course, there's a lot of water on Earth, but we are dumping a tremendous amount of excess carbon dioxide into the atmosphere also. So watch that video. Okay, your discussion board postings for this week. One of the questions is, are photosynthesis and cellular respiration? So cellular respiration is also called aerobic respiration. It's a part of metabolism. It's a part of breaking down food to make energy, okay? And there are different ways that you can word this, but just for the sake of our discussion here, just use cellular respiration as the terminology. So our photosynthesis, which is making food, and cellular respiration, which is breaking down food, these processes opposite or complementary or both. Okay, here's a hint for you. If anyone ever asks you a question like that, the answer has to be both. It has to be. Otherwise, they wouldn't say that. They would just say, are they opposite or complementary? No, they're both. And I just said that photosynthesis is making food, cellular respiration is breaking down food. So they are kind of opposite, but are they complementary? So here's another thing for you to think about. Say, for example, in a tree does photosynthesis, and you guys all know that. You know that the tree makes its own food out in the green leaves where there's chlorophyll. You know photosynthesis is happening there. So glucose is being produced in this part of the tree. Well, then that glucose circulates throughout the rest of the tree and is divided up amongst all the cells. So then what happens to it? That glucose has to be broken down, doesn't it? Through what? Cellular respiration. So see, they're sort of complementary too. All right, so those are some hints about that part of the discussion board posting. You'll also talk about autotrophs. So autotroph means self-feeder. So what are these? These are the organisms that do photosynthesis. And the question is, are they the foundation of all ecosystems on the planet? Okay, so that's something for you to think about. Something for you to think about and discuss. In your response post, you're going to talk about the consequences of releasing too much carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. And if you've already watched the video on the carbonated ocean, then you have at least part of the answer right there. That, of course, is not the only part of the answer, because carbon dioxide is extremely important for global warming too, because we've put so much of it into the atmosphere. Okay, so those are your discussion board postings. Remember that your initial post is due by Thursday night. Your response posts are due by Sunday night. Now this week, this is pretty heavy with coursework this week. You also have a journal entry. And you're going to be discussing aerobic respiration versus anaerobic respiration processes. Now, I know that's not exactly the way that the journal entry is worded, but this is what you're supposed to be comparing. Aerobic respiration, which means that it's a breakdown of food with using oxygen, versus anaerobic respiration processes that don't use oxygen. So fermentation is one of these, and anaerobic respiration is another one, where you don't use oxygen in order to break down food. So you're going to be comparing these two sets of processes. And you can already tell one important difference is the use or not use of oxygen. You're also going to be discussing how ancient glycolysis is. Glycolysis is always the first pathway. There's a few steps involved in it where glucose is broken down. Look at the word glycolysis. Glyco means sugar. Glucose is the most important sugar on the planet for all organisms. So sugar, lysis means to break down or break open. Glycolysis is where you break glucose in half to make 2 pyruvate molecules, and you produce 2 ATP molecules in this process. So you're going to find out how ancient glycolysis is by reading through those chapters. I believe it's going to be chapter 7 for that. You're going to read chapter 7 and figure out how ancient glycolysis must be. And you'll be discussing ethanol used as a biofuel. I know all of us who've gone to gas pumps in the last few years have noticed that we have ethanol as part of our gasoline that we pump into our cars. So you're going to be discussing that. Then you also have milestone 2 for your final project. This is the most important part of your final project, and it's in the middle of it. This is the biological concepts section, section 3. Yes, it's milestone 2, but it's section 3 because you've already done 1 and 2. So I'm going to discuss some of this so that you have an idea of what we're looking for here. Level of organization. At what level of organization does your topic impact living things? So is it on a cellular level? Is it on a species level? Is it on an ecosystem level that this thing, whatever it is, affects living beings? So a week ago on Sunday, some of us during my office hours were discussing DDT. DDT was a pesticide that was used for decades all around the world, and we found out that DDT persists in the environment. And the problem with it is that in the higher level predators in ecosystems, in food webs, the DDT was persisting too long in them because they were getting too much of it through the prey that they would eat. And it stopped their reproduction. For example, bald eagles. That's why bald eagles nearly went extinct in the world because of the use of DDT. So at what level did this impact the organism? Well, in species, in different species, but even down on a cellular level where reproduction couldn't take place. All right, then, so in the analysis section, you're going to analyze 3 biological concepts or processes that pertain to your particular issue or topic. So just a couple of examples: adaptations, predator-prey interactions, food webs, growth and development, reproduction, photosynthesis, metabolism, any kind of genetics. So these are just some examples. Look through your textbook and just look through the table of contents and see what could apply to your particular topic. So you are going to choose 3 of them and describe these 3. So what exactly is reproduction? What are adaptations? You will explain this in the analysis section, okay? And then in section C, you're going to relate these 3 biological concepts to your topic. This is probably the most important section of the whole final project. You are going to relate the biology that you know about, that you've learned about so far, and that you will be learning about, to your particular issue or topic. If eutrophication of a body of water is your topic, then how exactly does photosynthesis connect to this? How is it related to eutrophication? All right, then characteristics of life. You're going to take one of those biological concepts or processes and find out how the characteristics of life are affected by that concept. You remember the 9 characteristics of life. We covered that in the first week. Growth and development, reproduction, evolution. Okay, you know them all. So find out the connection there. And impact on health, you're going to choose another one of these biological concepts or processes that you've chosen in section B and analyze the impact of this on human or environmental health. Okay, so this week in your milestone is all about the biology of your particular issue. If you have any questions, just let me know because you may have some. All right, and then as always, yeah, where did it go? I have no idea. There I am. There's my name. Anyway, it's Monday, and there's my email address, m.sigmon@snhu.edu. Let me know if you have any trouble. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm here for you. I'll help you. Just ask away. I promise I will help. Okay? I hope you have a wonderful week. Today you may be off on a holiday. I'm not sure. But have a wonderful week. And I will talk to you soon.